So then guys, we've just had the brand new It's Glow Time event from Apple where we saw some amazing products like the Apple Watch 10 and of course the lineup of the brand new iPhone 16 models. But a lot of you are due upgrades now, and some of you might have, say, an iPhone 14 Pro Max on a 2-year contract, for example, and you're looking to renew, and you're wanting to know, is it worth getting yourself, say, an iPhone 16 Pro Max? And what are the differences between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 16 Pro Max? Well, today we're going to do a comparison review of specs of the iPhone 16 Pro Max versus the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So then guys, just quickly, I want to tell you about these great new MagSafe ESR products that we have right here. And these are compatible with the latest iPhone 16s, and they're also compatible with older iPhones like the iPhone 15 Pro Max that I have right here. Starting out with this product, what you can see right here, as you can see, it's MagSafe compatible, and that's because this wireless charging station has the full 15 watts QI2 charging speeds behind it. So that's right, the likes of say this iPhone 15 Pro Max here, from a completely dead battery to fully charged, can charge up in 2.5 hours. Not only this, it also has cryo boost cooling, what is ESR's patented cooling technology that keeps your phone cool whilst it's charging, so you don't have to worry about leaving this on charge overnight and overheating. It even has a fast Apple Watch charging dock that can charge up an Apple Watch Ultra to 100% in 1 hour and 40 minutes, what is 4 times faster than any other brands, what like to use a 2.5 wattage, for example, to charge up the Apple Watch. And then best of all, this stand is super affordable and you can get those top charging speeds with it. But then moving on then, let's talk about this power bank from ESR2. This has a 5000 milliamp battery inside of it and also a kickstand to hold up your iPhone, what is super useful. And then best of all, as you can see here, this actual battery pack is only 15.5 millimeters thick. And then to keep it cool, it has ESR's NTSC sensors and AI algorithm, what is constantly checking the temperature to make sure that your phone does not overheat. It also has a powerful magnet, what's actually got the strength of 1,200 grams of strength behind it. And again, because it's got QI2 charging, it can actually charge up an iPhone 15 Pro to 84% battery charge in 2 hours and 25 minutes. And then finally, if you have a car and you want to charge up your phone within your car, you can do this with ESR2. Again, this charger is 15 watts MagSafe, has cryo boost cooling, and also has a super strong magnet grip of 1,600 grams. So you know if you go over a bump in the road, your phone won't fall off. And with all of this, you can see why ESR is definitely the #1 MagSafe brand out there right now. And if you want to check out some of these great different accessories for your new iPhone or for your current iPhone, definitely check out all the details that are in the description below of this video right now. And with that, let's return back to the main video. So then, we have the iPhone 16 Pro Max on the left and the iPhone 14 Pro Max on the right side here for this comparison review of specs today. And first of all, let's get started then with the display type. So the display type for both of these iPhones are OLED XDR displays. They're exactly the same technology. We've had this technology since, say, the iPhone 13 Pro models, so there's no difference here whatsoever. But what there is a difference, or where there is a difference, is the screen size. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max now comes in at 6.9 inches, well, just below that, and the same with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, that comes at 6.7 inches, well, just below that too. So we're talking about two display sizes about 0.9 of an inch or 0.2 of an inch here in difference in sort of sizes here. Not much really in it whatsoever, but obviously it will be noticeable that the bezels are definitely smaller on the iPhone 16 Pro Max than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. You can see the big differences here on it, but the actual overall size, there won't be much in it. The iPhone 16 Pro Max in your hand will just feel ever so slightly bigger there. But then moving over to the screen resolution, the actual screen ratio is exactly the same. It's 19:5:9 on both of these iPhones, so no differences there. But where there is a difference is obviously the resolution, because the iPhone 16 Pro Max does have a slightly bigger display. So it now comes in at 2868 by 1320, instead of the iPhone 14 Pro Max is 2796 by 1290. But for clarity in pixels per inch, what does this all mean? Well, it's exactly the same. We're going to be getting 460 pixels per inch on both of these displays. One of the screens is not going to be sharper than the other. They're exactly the same there in how sharp the picture is. So it's exactly the same. So no differences whatsoever. And it's the same with the display refresh type as well. So it has ProMotion in both of them. The refresh rate is exactly the same on both of these phones. And in fact, the iPhone 14 Pro Max was the first iPhone to go from 1 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz, where the 13 Pro Max and 13 Pro was down to 10 Hz. Whereas the iPhone 16 Pro Max also goes down from 1 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz too. So there's no difference here whatsoever with the display refresh rate. But moving over to the screen brightness, again, there's not much in it because, like I said, it's the same screen technology. We have 2000 nits of brightness in both of these phones. So really, really bright. Maybe there's some other Android competitors out there who are a little bit brighter than this, but generally speaking, comparing both of these phones, there's not much in it there. But where there is a difference is the processor, or the CPU, or the SoC, whatever you want to call it. And obviously the iPhone 16 Pro Max has now got the new A18 Pro with its 6-core CPU and also its 6-core GPU and the 16-core neural engine, what is super, super powerful. Far powerful than the A16 that we got inside of the iPhone 14 Pro Max. In fact, it's around about 30% more faster in CPU speeds, and it's around about 35% or 45%, I think it was, in GPU than what we had before. So yeah, that is really, really powerful. And the same with the efficiencies as well. The A18 Pro is now in CPU. It is 30% more efficient than the iPhone 14 Pro Max just in the CPU, and then the GPU, it's 35% more efficient. So definitely for battery life in the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's going to be way, way further out there than what you got with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But then moving over then for RAM amounts, well, the RAM is different in both of these models. The iPhone 16 Pro Max has a newer type of RAM, and it's got 8 GB of it inside of it, but it's the DDR5X, whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max has 6 GB of RAM inside of it too. So it has got less. And then obviously for storage amounts, there is a difference here. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, like the iPhone 15 Pro Max, starts at 256 GB of storage, going all the way up to 1 TB, whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max has 128 GB and goes all the way up to 1 TB. Then for the operating system, obviously both of these phones can run iOS 18, but the iPhone 16 Pro Max obviously has a few more extra things up its sleeve with Apple Intelligence, what we'll talk about in the mode. But generally speaking, both these phones can run exactly the same operating system, except for the iPhone 14 Pro Max will probably get operating system updates for about probably another 4 or 5 years, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro Max is definitely going to get at least another 7 years. So yeah, do think about that. Then for battery life then, there are some big differences here again. The iPhone 14 Pro Max was claimed that it could run or play a video up to 29 hours. And this is basically playing videos locally stored on your iPhone. So this is not streaming it over Wi-Fi, 5G or whatnot. It was just locally on your phone, and it could do that up to 29 hours. And the same sort of brightness, sound and everything done on iPhone 16 Pro Max with the same video, you can actually get 33 hours instead this time round with this iPhone. What's absolutely amazing. That's, I don't know my maths, but it's about a 12 to 15% increase in size there in battery life. It was really great to see. But then even for the actual battery life, the sizes here, as you can see, the iPhone 16 Pro Max has a 4676 milliamp, and then the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a 4323 milliamp battery size. Then moving over then to wired and wireless charging. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max does actually have better wired and wireless charging. We have USB-C up to 30 watts now, but also the MagSafe charging now goes up to 25 watts, as long as you buy one of the new MagSafe type of chargers, or the MagSafe bit that clips onto the back, and you plug it into a 30-watt charger or more. If you plug it into a 25-watt charger, it won't do this. It has to be a 30-watt charger or more, and it will give you 25 watts of MagSafe charging, which is really, really great to see. Whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max with Lightning could go up to 27 watts if you plug in, say, a 30-watt charger or whatnot, or 40 watts, it still just stay at 27 watts. And then obviously MagSafe charging is still only limited to 15 watts this time round. Moving over to the weight though, you can see some differences here. So obviously the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as it's made out of titanium now, so with that it is a lighter metal, and even though it's slightly bigger than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it is lighter at 227 grams compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max 240 grams there. But to be honest, we're talking 13 grams difference. We're talking about a screen protector weight in difference here for one of these phones. It's going to be not much in it whatsoever. Then next door we have water resistance, and both these phones are IP68, so this means they can be dunked in fresh water up to 6 meters, and that can last in there for up to about 30 minutes before any kind of big damage is going to happen. That's how that is tested. For ports wise, we have USB-C on the iPhone 16 Pro Max running at USB 3 speed, so this is 10 gigabits per second, whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max still has Lightning and only runs at USB 2 speed, so yeah, far slower there. Then for stereo speakers, we have 2 stereo speakers on both of these iPhones, so exactly the same, but we do have Apple Intelligent bits and pieces with the iPhone 16 Pro Max for the audio. And then talk about artificial intelligence and Apple Intelligence. The iPhone 16 Pro Max can run Apple Intelligence. Everything to do with Apple Intelligence, what has been shown at the moment, it can do it. The iPhone 14 Pro Max cannot run any Apple Intelligence features. So this is a biggie. If you want Apple Intelligence, you need to get yourself an iPhone 16 Pro Max, or an iPhone 16 or even an iPhone 15 Pro model to get that. So yeah, there is a big difference there. For Bluetooth technology, exactly the same here. Both of them have got Bluetooth 5.3, so no changes here. But then for Wi-Fi, we do have a bump up here of kind of like 1.5 generations. We actually have Wi-Fi 7 in the iPhone 16 Pro Max, whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max has Wi-Fi 6. So, it's missing out Wi-Fi 6E here. That's what came with the 15 Pro Max. But like I said, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, Wi-Fi 7. Then for the rear cameras, this is where there's some big changes here. The iPhone 16 Pro Max has a 48 megapixel wide, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and also 12 megapixel telephoto. Whereas the iPhone 14 Pro Max only has a 48 megapixel wide, what is obviously not as good as the one that's inside the Pro Max, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 12 megapixel telephoto, again, not as good. And one of those things is to do with the teleprism or the telephoto. The iPhone 14 Pro Max can only go up to a 3 times zoom capability, or 3.5. And then the iPhone 16 Pro Max can go all the way up to a 5 times zoom there, and obviously the digital zoom can go even further. Both these phones though can record at 4K video, but you do have that new cinematic 4K 120 frames per second slow-mo option on the iPhone 16 Pro Max this time round. And then obviously both these phones also have LiDAR sensors on the back. For the selfie cameras, they're exactly the same. They have 12 megapixel 4K cameras sitting on the front there in their dynamic island, so no changes here. And then for the prices though, well, this is where there has been some differences. So the base model of the iPhone 14 Pro Max cost $1,099 for the 128 gigabyte model, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro Max cost $1,199 for the 256 gigabyte option. Now, one thing I will note here is when the iPhone 14 Pro Max came out, if you bought the 256 gigabyte option, it did actually cost you $1,199. So really, there's no price differences there. But then moving over to the colors then, obviously the iPhone 14 Pro Max had the aluminum or stainless steel kind of colors there, and obviously that was space black, silver, gold, and the deep purple that we've been seeing right here, whereas the iPhone 16 Pro Max has the titanium colors. So obviously it has the black, the new titanium desert or desert titanium color, as Apple likes to call it, the white, and also the natural color too. But with that though, will you be upgrading, and what iPhone model will you be buying? So there we have it then, guys. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is definitely on top of the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Remember, you're getting all those upgrades what you got with the iPhone 15 Pro Max last year. So you're getting titanium, you're getting USB-C, and you're getting all those iPhone 16 features too, you know, with Apple Intelligence, also the action button. You're also getting this new capture button too, what's really, really cool, and everything else with the larger display as well built into this. So that's really a great thing to get there. So yeah, it's definitely worth looking into getting an iPhone 16 Pro Max because it's definitely one of the best flagship phones of 2024, even going into 2025. But those are just my thoughts there. What are your thoughts? Is the iPhone 16 Pro Max something that you're going to get yourself now, or are you going to possibly get yourself a different flagship phone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that as well, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. Also, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews, and comparisons too, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I'll see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.